I'm just gonna
Well, the New York
scan.
State Gaming Commission said it pulled the slot machine immediately after the incident, fixing it, put it back out
Oh, so I
on the
have
casino floor where it is
so I have
today.
to
We
hold
asked
it?
whether they can
No.
award the max
Oh,
payout because obviously she felt like she
Oh, you're
was
welcome.
and they said
You're
by
welcome.
law they cannot
Just
do
holding.
that. So
The lady from the church supposed to come.
take that stay there.
She
They
doesn't
said put
drive.
it on
I
ice for
said,
now.
You could have did there.
it's late. She don't really drive at night, but she will do it because and transfer.
Was she coming from far? Or?
But she lives in Ebenezer.
Off of
It's
Ebenezer.
from that side going to Canton.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean. Okay.
Hands down, questions until later.
I'm more like Eminem.
Not even close. Okay, now you are.
No, don't touch anything. It's still recording, right?
Yeah. So that's the camera is on you.
You said noise.
Yeah, with the trick.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm gonna say like a little bit of profanity, but it's just fun.
Takasan mo.
What's that?
I'm gonna say a bit of a profanity, but it's just fun. I mean, it's not that bad, but
Okay. You're big girl.
But you
Well,
have to
I mean, no,
begin
it's
it. Like,
Angel.
don't you have to introduce yourself?
no.
You know? Okay.
Okay. Go to hell. That is one of the many remarks of President Duterte, who basically addressed this to the U.S. Ambassador, Pope Francis, the UN, the European Union, and President Barack Obama. Although he is largely known for profanity, there is more to know about this newly elected president. He is more than just a notorious leader of the Philippines. And so I will discuss his term as mayor in Davao City. I will discuss his presidential campaign, and I will discuss what's currently happening in the Philippines after he was elected as president. And so he is more than just a notorious leader. He was mayor of Davao City. Fun fact is Davao holds the title of being the most orderly city in the Philippines. And according to Emily Rojala, in her article from the Washington Post, there is a curfew for minors, unless accompanied by adults, that they must be in their respective homes after 10 o'clock in the evening. As you may or may not know, kids in the Philippines tend to be on the streets, even at dark hours, in late hours, especially in urban poor areas. Selling liquor after 2 a.m. is strictly prohibited. And yet again, as you may or may not know, Filipinos love binge drinking from dusk to dawn. And local residents, tourists, and foreigners can only smoke in designated areas. And there was a story about this tourist who disobeyed this law, and Duterte himself was holding a revolver and pointed at this tourist and eventually told him to eat that cigarette butt, which is kind of outrageous. And lastly, what he did for Davao was he was known for hunting down criminals. Davao City was known as a murder city after Marcos, the president, the dictator in the Philippines, stepped down in office. It was basically a breeding ground for criminals due to social unrest, militant conflicts, and until Duterte became mayor in 1988. And he is suspected to have started this vigilant group that killed drug dealers and criminals, which is called the Davao Death Squad, which is composed of ex-military men, militant group members, local thugs, and ex-convicts. And now that I have discussed the then Mayor Duterte, I will now talk about the presidential campaign. Duterte is the presidential candidate of Partido Democrático Pilipino Laban ng Bayan, or PDP Laban political party. Originally, Aries Regina, a writer for Philippine Daily Inquirer News, she said that he wasn't fully committed to becoming a president until a presidential poll frontrunner, Senator Grace Poe, was actually an American citizen. And just like here in America, if you're not a natural born citizen, then you cannot run for president. And so that's why he ran for president. And he had great tactics to gain public support. He used Davao as a testimony of his efficiency in law and order, and as Stratford.com also added that he was constantly addressing issues such as the legal system, sclerotic public institutions, and corrupt elites, to which he clarifies to be included in his agenda as soon as he sits in office. And now that I've discussed his political campaign, I will now discuss the current state of the Philippines under the now President Duterte. First, war on drugs is the prevailing concern in the Philippines. And Sheila Coronel, in her article, "I Will Kill All the Drug Lords," this was a vow in President Duterte's inauguration, that he said a relentless war against drugs will happen, and it is currently happening, because during the first 2 months of his reign, already like 2,000 suspected drug dealers were killed. Vigilance and local police are given the permission to kill when criminals refuse and fight back. And unfortunately, it's the low-class families and young individuals are the most affected, even though there are no exceptions among social classes. And so today I talked about President Rodrigo Duterte. And first, I discussed his term as mayor in Davao City. Then I discussed his presidential campaign. And finally, I told you about the current state of the Philippines as he became the president. And after all, he is more than just the notorious leader of the Philippines. He was chosen and voted as the president because Filipinos believe that despite his smart remarks and his good reputation in Davao City, he will bring the change that we Filipinos are waiting for.
Very nicely done, Kimberly.
Do I press it again?
Mhm.
Do I press it again?